monitoring what's going on in Dolton and Thornton Township and leadership there? Are you concerned? Taxpayers seem very worried. There's chaos at meetings. What can be done? Could you play a role in stepping in some way? What's your take on the situation?
So I've looked at that question, whether the state should and can play a role. The federal authorities, as you may know, are involved and investigating. I've read that. I think that's a public piece of information.
Well, 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 Mayor Pretzel, we've caught you lying through your fat little face. So you thought you got away with this, huh? Well, today you're getting exposed when we break down and analyze your speech and show proof that your little press conference was complete BS. What is up, gang? It is I, Carlton Flowers, with the Go Political channel. And I'm glad that you are with me here today as we're going to look back on this little press conference that took place on June the 5th that I've been scratching my head about ever since. And I don't hear many people talking about some of the things that stuck out like a sore thumb to me that were so glaringly obvious that I had to cover this. And in this video, we're going to completely break down the entire 1 minute and 30 seconds of Governor Pretzel's little comments. And I'm going to show you why and where he is lying and hiding information. And then we're going to wrap it on up and put a bow on it at the end when I provide you with the proof that we know he was lying and covering up when we review a news story that was put out several months ago. So let's just jump on down to the video here. And here we have very concerned looking Governor Pretzel. What's his name? I want to say Boss Hogg, J.D. Hogg. Is it J.D. Pretzel or Jason? It sounds like J.D. Hogg. He kind of reminds me of Boss Hogg. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can pull up a picture of Boss Hogg and see if they might look like each other, if there is a comparison to be made. So let's go to Bing and just pull up some images here, bing.com. And we'll click on images and let's look for Boss Hogg. Boss Hogg, Dukes of Hazzard. There we go. All right, let's just see what this, look at that. How about that? That is just uncanny. It's amazing. There's a striking similarity here between Boss J.D. Hogg and W.J. or J.W. I don't remember what Governor Pretzel's initials are, but he does look like Boss Hogg. Post in the comments if you think that the governor of Illinois looks like J.D. Hogg. Let me know right now. This is the same look on his face that he had during this interview. In fact, this one kind of looks like it too. Okay, thank you, J.D. Hogg. I was a big fan of the Dukes of Hazzard television show. Oh man, I grew up with that, so that was great fun watching that. So I know my Boss Hogg. I know Boss Hogg very well. So here we are. We're going to start this off, and I'm going to stop it as we go. And I'm going to tell you exactly what you are seeing and hearing as we go along. All right, let's play the video here.
Governor, are you monitoring what's going on in Dolton?
Okay, I got to stop it right away. There is your fake concerned look because you're nervous about how you're going to glaze and gloss over this. Look at the eyebrows and look at the mouth and notice how he smacked his mouth, not just because he's thinking about lunch and he's wanting to eat, but he's covering up. That's not a normal mannerism that sticks out. He's trying too hard right here to look genuinely concerned. All right.
Thornton Township and leadership there. Are you concerned? Taxpayers seem very worried.
And there, did you see the eyebrow raise like, oh my goodness, they're telling me something I didn't already know. But that's a lie because he knows everything. So just the look of surprise, that little eyebrow raise right there, is lying. Let's look at it again. Did you see that?
There's chaos at meetings. What can be done? Could you play a role in stepping in some way? What's your take on the situation?
Okay, did you notice the slight smile? To try to set everybody at ease, like, okay, nothing going on here. It's not really a big problem. Let's minimize this. Let's just all calm down because it's not that, really big of a deal. So I'm going to smile. Now, do you think that there's anything to be smiling about with this situation that's going on in Dolton? Do you think Governor Pretzel should be smiling with this response? All right, let's continue on.
So I've looked at that question, whether the state should and can play a role.
That was a lie, too. That was a lie, too. Did you notice the pause? Listen to the pause after he says should. Here we go.
And can play a role.
Wait a minute. Let me go back.
The federal and can play a role. That question, whether the state should and can play a role.
Should, that means I really know the answer to that. And I'm BSing you because I'm trying to cover up. Should and play a role.
The federal authorities.
Did you see that pause? The federal authorities. So in other words, I'm trying to shove it off on the federal authorities because I know that this fell within my responsibility. And we'll talk about that when we cover this article. So he lied about that. It's not just the federal authorities. It was his responsibility as the governor of Illinois to step into this, and he had the ability to do so. Let's continue on.
You may know are involved and investigate.
Now look at the angle of his head when he says, that are involved. He's kind of make it seem like, well, it's obvious, go along with me here. I'm lying. My throat is constricting a little bit, and I'm lowering my head. Let's watch that again.
Federal authorities, as you may know, are involved and investigating. I've read that. I think
he's lying again. I've read that, so I'm going to brush it off. Yeah, I've read that. I have nothing to do with it. He's trying to shake that off and shirk his responsibilities that he should have had. Let's continue.
And investigating. I've read that. I think that's a public piece of information.
I think that's a public piece of information. Are you kidding me? This is like international disgrace, right? The entire world is watching this. It's an international embarrassment. And how does he describe that? Let's just watch that again.
I think that's a public piece of information.
I think that's a public piece of information. No, Governor Pretzel, this is not a piece of information. It's an entire wagon of horse manure. That's what it is. All right, let's continue on.
There is an investigation that's been called for, and now
there he goes smiling again. There's an investigation that's been called for. That's because he knows better, that he should have handled the situation. Watch his head duck down and his voice tightens. Let's see it again.
An investigation that's been called for, and now I know there was a veto that was overridden that will now allow that investigation to go forward with former Mayor Lori Lightfoot in charge of that. I think that those are
okay. Look at the head shaking. Yeah, I know this is pretty bad. I should have done something, but I know. Mannerisms say everything. Let's watch that part again.
Allow that investigation to go forward with former Mayor Lori Lightfoot in charge of that. I think that
Did you see that? Shake your head around because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to cover up the fact that I should have handled this situation. Play it again.
Foot in charge of that. I think that those are two pretty good authorities.
Two pretty good authorities. Pretty good authorities. I'm in charge of the entire state of Illinois, but, those are two pretty good authorities. Who calls the FBI a pretty good authority? Or the mayor of Chicago a pretty good authority? Okay, so we know that those pretty good authorities have not saved the taxpayers from the mayor continuing to bilk them, draining the budget, driving the deficit into the millions, borrowing money, causing lawsuits, which it's going to end up costing the village and Thornton Township millions and millions, billions and billions of dollars. So let's back up and watch him minimize that again.
Very Lightfoot in charge of that. I think that those are two pretty good authorities for looking into this, investigating.
Oh, watch the eyebrows come up and down. Watch that.
Authorities for looking into this,
looking into this. Looking into this. Looking into it. You should have shut it down, buddy. It's not something that is at a point where you should just be looking into this. But let's continue.
Pretty good authorities for looking into this, investigating it, and getting to the truth.
Getting to the truth. So, Governor Pretzel, you think these pretty good authorities really need to dig in to get to the truth, when it is obvious to the entire world, the international audience knows what the truth is. There's stealing going on. There's impropriety going on. There are illegal activities going on. There are lawsuits back and forth going wild. There are monthly board meetings that end in disaster, complete chaos, utter confusion, and mayhem every single month. But you claim that, well, these pretty good authorities are trying to get to the truth. Well, hello, Captain Obvious. We are already aware of what the truth is. All right, let's play that again, then we'll continue on.
Two pretty good authorities for looking into this, investigating it, and getting to the truth.
And the state,
We'll support them. Well,
look at that. What did he say? Oh, well, we'll support them, but again, I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. I mean, we'll support them, but I don't want to be the one to shut it down because, you know, we're Democrats, and we know that she's a Democrat, and this would really make the Democratic National Convention look bad, so we kind of don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. That's what he's really thinking. All right, let's play that again, and you watch the reaction. He knows what's going on. He's fully aware, but he doesn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Here we go.
Investigating it and getting to the truth.
And the state,
We'll support them. Well, we looked at whether we ought to put resources, whether it's state police and their anti-corruption efforts.
Oh, I just can't with this guy. All right, so what do you notice there? The head tilt. He's very uncomfortable. He's very tense. He's starting to get a little stressed by this because he's getting exposed. So now here goes his head cocking over to the side. And he says that, well, the state police, who could shut down any of this in an instant. And who do you think the state police have to answer to? Who do they answer to? The governor. Thank you. So let's go back and watch that very awkward moment.
We looked at whether we ought to put resources, whether it's state police and their anti-corruption efforts, or asking the Attorney General.
Ooh, asking who? Let's play that again. Let's play that again.
Or asking the Attorney General.
Oh, really? Asking the Attorney General? Well, if I remember right, the Attorney General took an action and it got left unanswered. Let's play that one more time, and then we'll get to the article.
Corruption efforts, or asking the Attorney General. The reality is that there are already two pretty significant investigations.
Oh, two pretty significant investigations. The reality? I think, again, we're all aware of what the reality of the situation is. Somebody is robbing the residents blind. Somebody is running roughshod over the rule of law. That's what the reality is, and you know it. Let's play that again.
Asking the Attorney General. The reality is that there are already two pretty significant investigations going on, and so we'll support them in every way.
Oh, yeah, we'll support them in every way. I mean, it's not on us. I mean, we're sure that these pretty good agencies are doing everything they can, so we don't have to touch this with a 10-foot pole, but my goodness, we'll support them in any way we can. And what way is that, Governor Pretzel? How are you going to support those agencies? You're not going to do a dadgone thing. What are you going to take them out to lunch? You going to buy them some Chicago pizza for lunch and make sure that their bellies are full while they're working on this hard investigation that's been dragging on for God knows how many months? Let's play that again. Here we go.
There are already two pretty significant investigations going on, and so we'll support them in every way that we can.
Oh, yeah.
But it's really just a matter of, do you want everybody running over each other?
Yeah,
we
don't want to step in. We don't want to step on any toes here. We don't want everybody stepping over each other. So we will just kindly stay the heck out of it because we want nothing to do with this. And, well, by God, they've already got so many people on this. They've really handled the situation and, they've put an end to all of the impropriety and the stealing, right? Let's play that one more time. Then we'll get to the article.
Way that we can, but it's really just a matter of, do you want everybody running over each other in those investigations, or do you want two concerted efforts toward getting
concerted efforts for getting the facts? Okay, that was absurd. That was completely absurd. Okay, so next we're going to pull up this article, talk about this article, which is proof that this man was lying. He knew everything that was going on, knows about it, and refuses to do anything about it for certain reasons, which I will discuss. All right, let's jump back over to the desktop. And we have this little news story here. And this is old news. This is nothing new. Well, what's the title? Dolton politician's cancer charity got almost all of its reported money from taxpayers. What's the date of this article? March 7th, 2024. All right, Governor Pretzel, let's scroll down here and read some of this article, and then we'll see if we can figure if you knew exactly what was going on. Okay, so it says here, after months of silence, a representative from the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation, which she's just the face of, she's not it. Anyone can make a foundation or a charity and stick someone's face on it. And my goodness, I'm clickbait, so of course they're going to use my face, but I'm just the face of it. They finally responded to the Attorney General's demands for records. So Governor Pretzel, you knew all about this. But the filing was what? Incomplete. And what? Lacked key records that would show how it collects and spends money. Very interesting. It comes as Dolton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor Tiffany Henyard has recently tried to distance herself from her namesake charity as she's faced questions about the spending, leadership style, and transparency while in office. So in other words, once the heat got put on, when we turned up the heat to boiling, well, Tiffany Henyard went from Tiffany Henyard, am creating a council foundation for people who have been suffering cancer, so we can help them with the rigors of treatment, like buying them wigs or buying them food or helping them with the expense of cancer, because my mother was a cancer victim. Now, it's pretty disgusting that you would state that your mother was a cancer victim and you did all of this to bilk people out of their money, allegedly. Well, I guess I can say that because she's not even claiming ownership of the foundation. So after stating, I'm creating this foundation called the Tiffany Cares Foundation, after the Roland Martin interview, well, she just magically becomes the face of the foundation. All right, so moving right along, a representative of the foundation wrote on the charity's registration statement filed with the who? Illinois Attorney General, that the organization only raised $13,000 in its few months of existence. What's 13 grand? That's pocket change, right? I mean, who's going to complain about stealing a mere $13,000 from the taxpayers? That's nothing. That's just, 5 days of lunches and hair treatment and makeup for the mayor, right? So we had the issue where $10,000 was transferred to the foundation days after it was created, straight from the taxpayers. And then we had another $10,248 charged to credit cards for hotels around the along the route of the walk campaign that took place. So now this is back in 2022, all right? So we have the Illinois Attorney General stating, hand over the records. And we also have credit card statements that have every single charge outlined. And they've been around since 2022. But Governor Pretzel, oh, well, you know, we don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. We know there's some pretty good agencies that are working on this, so I'm just going to stand back and not do anything about it. But your attorney general in an executive office of your state governor is fully aware and demanded the records. And so what did they do in response? It says right here, however, since the foundation failed to file tax documents with the Attorney General's office, including the Form 990, which details revenue, expenditures, and income, the foundation's financial activities since its inception in September of 2022 remain unclear. How about that? The 990 provides all of the necessary information about the nonprofit. So if it's not filed, any prudent taxpayer should ask, why not? Said Kelly Richmond Pope, who is a professor of accounting at DePaul University. Interesting. She wrote the book, Fool Me Once, Scams, Stories, and Secrets from the $1 Trillion Fraud Industry. All right, so how is this plainly, hideously, embarrassingly obvious to any educated individual, but the governor doesn't want to step on any toes because we've got some pretty good agencies who are out there trying to work this out. Now, had the governor's office acted on this at the time that they knew, because we had what? From 2022, the time that this was created, the year ended with no filing, and then the entire year of 2023 goes by, and then the Attorney General, after complaints are being levied, finally says, hey, send in the paperwork. And they send in a little bit of information, but not what was asked for. Holy smokes. That is something. And so you're going to tell me, whoops, Governor Pretzel, that none of this was your responsibility because you don't want to step on the toes of the pretty good agencies who are already working on this? I'm just going to have to say you're telling a big, fat lie, Governor Pretzel. A big, fat lie. You know better. You should have done better. So then the million-dollar question is, why haven't they acted on this? Okay, so we did have the Attorney General making the demand. But why did it come to June 5th before someone decides to ask the governor of the state of Illinois what they're doing about the situation in Dolton and Thornton Township? Well, there's a certain get-together. There's a gathering that is supposed to take place in the summer of 2024 called the Democratic National Convention. And I'm kind of thinking that the ruling party in Chicagoland and the state of Illinois, the Democratic Party, probably don't want to cast a negative light on a Democratic mayor like a certain person that we are discussing, because it would be an embarrassment and not something that they want going on before the Democratic National Convention. So we'll just cover it up. We'll just sweep it under the rug because we don't want to expose one of our fellow dirty politicians, because we know the corruption runs all the way up to the top. And I'm not just saying the state, I'm talking the federal level. Now, don't get triggered. I know there are people out there going to say, well, why aren't you talking about the Republicans? Yes, there are corrupt Republicans, but we're not talking about corrupt Republicans. We're talking about corrupt politicians in Dolton, Thornton Township, Chicago, and Illinois right now. That's the topic of discussion. So don't get all butthurt, all right? And it's my video. I'll talk about which corrupt politicians that I want to. Now, reading on through here, this is kind of interesting. This is just a side note. It says here, Henyard's top aide in both the Dolton and Thornton Township, Keith Freeman, Thief Freeman was listed as the foundation's registered agent in a 2023 filing with the Illinois Secretary of State. Dolton's housing director, William Moore, was listed as the foundation's president. Henyard's executive assistant in Dolton was listed as director, and so was Kamal Woods, who works for Henyard in Thornton Township with a $100,000 salary and driving a car that makes people scratch their heads as to where the money came from to pay for. Late last month, this is the kicker, late last month, the registered agent of the charity was changed to Victor Osakwa. Osakwa? Neither he nor Henyard's representatives responded to requests for comment. So they're all trying to back away from it now. And we got this new name that is in charge of it while they claim that, hey, she's just the face of it. So with the heat being put on Thief Freeman, oh boy, I tell you what, he probably can't wait to get his name off of that foundation. And boyfriend Kamal Woods probably needs to get himself removed from it too. And you know what? It might be a good idea to just return the money. Because do we have a record of 1 single cent that has gone towards a wig for one cancer recipient? No, we don't. Now, this ends with this section where it says WGN investigating public corruption, crime, and fraud. WGN has done more for this situation for the residents of Dolton and Thornton Township than what the governor has done and what the attorney general has done. How sad is that? Now, I want you to post in the comments and tell me if you think Governor Pretzel was telling the truth, if you think that he was doing his job and that he should stand back as we don't want too many people running around in this investigation because, God forbid, we wouldn't want to be stepping on any toes. And do you think that the Attorney General of Illinois has done his job after the incomplete information has been filed? We're going to dig into this more later, but that's all I've got for this particular video. But we're going to keep the conversation going. And for now, I absolutely would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Go Political channel. And if you would like to help support the channel, please do with the giving of a super thanks. I've invested a lot of money into this. I had a recent computer upgrade, and my ongoing costs are steep. I want to do more of this and less of my other work. So if you want more Go Political commentary and entertainment and things like the Dolton Chronicles, well, hey, I would love to have your help. So thank you in advance for you donating. You can even buy me a cup of coffee on Ko-Fi. It's just $5. Every little cent counts. Well, guys, that's about all I got for this one. I will see you very soon in the next edition. Looking forward to the next episode of Dolton Chronicles and much, much more coming your way. This is Carlton, and I am out.